this is a test, something I'm testing out. I originally planned on doing this starting next week when the SEC gets started back up, but I figured I might as well do a test run first just to make sure uh, I have what it takes to handle this concept where I just kind of have a live stream where I just kind of discuss the football games going on at the moment. Um, yeah, the main thing I'm testing is I just don't know how good the internet connection is here where I'm living right now. I'm kind of in like more of a rural area, and the people who own this place told me, they don't know how good the internet connection is. I'm pretty sure it's like a satellite-based connection, so I just want to make sure it can be handled because the TV does have an antenna on there, but the game I'm watching is on ESPN, so I'm running that off my YouTube TV, so that's going to take internet connection, and then doing the stream is going to take connection as well. So just making sure that it's something that can be handled. So that's why I'm doing it right now. Like I said, the reason this is coming out of nowhere is because I originally planned on doing it next week for the first time, but I just want to make sure this place has the bandwidth to be able to handle both me streaming a game on the TV and doing the live stream. So I'm checking the stream health. So the stream health is fine right now. I mean, that's fine. Yeah, so obviously, I planned on doing this last year, actually. I got the idea from doing something like this last year where I discussed the games as they're going on. The original plan being I have a camera pointed towards a TV as well, but that's obviously not going to happen because otherwise the stream will be shut down. So I do have a game going on right here off to the right on the TV, which is Oklahoma State and Tulsa. But there's also some other games going on right now, so I have my betting spreadsheet open so I know which games to track. So as far as the games going on right now are concerned, Georgia State is actually up at halftime. They got off to a 14-0 lead, so right now I can't complain about that, although we'll see if they can hold on to it. Syracuse is looking pretty good. They're only down 4 in the third, so the 10-50 is still alive as well. Liberty is also up outright right now, 17-10 in the third, so... and Tulane is up 24-0. So every bet I have right now is I can't complain. Tulane's probably going to hang on and win, so that should be a win. But Western Kentucky just scored a touchdown, apparently, to pull within a tie if they can make the extra point. But, like I said, I could be in a lot worse of a situation right now in terms of all these bets. As far as Oklahoma State and Tulsa's going, I don't have a bet on that game, but I've been watching it. It's been the main game on this TV. In my normal setup, like I was back at home in my old apartment, I would have like 3 different TVs going on at the same time. But the thing is that I made sure to purchase an internet connection that can handle that. I just don't want to strain the internet bandwidth resources here where I'm staying. I'm staying in pretty much a garage apartment. So there's people living next door, so I'm sure we are sharing internet connection. And I just don't want to, hog it all. So I'm only going to stream one game at a time. But hopefully, whenever there's a game on broadcast TV, which UCF and Georgia Tech is on ABC, but I already tested the antenna and ABC does not come in for whatever reason. Drives me crazy. Like, of all the channels that come in, not ABC, are you kidding me? But at least I'll be able to have a game on that TV that's not streaming, and maybe I'll be able to run 2 games at once with another game streaming on my computer over here. But like I said, the whole point of the stream right now is just to make sure it can work. I'm going to keep having to check the stream health to make sure nothing goes bad. So... yeah, it keeps telling me excellent connection, so right now all's good. So if any of you guys are watching along with Tulsa and Oklahoma State, Oklahoma State's quarterback went out with a lower extremity injury, and they have not looked good ever since. Their backup just kind of... Tulsa's pretty much been stacking the box, daring them to run the ball, so they've been able to stop Chuba Hubbard, but it's 3rd and 9 right now for Oklahoma State, and it looks like Tulsa has a 3-3-5 going on for this. Drops back to pass, and he is going to be sacked for a loss on 3rd and 9. So they only rushed 3 out of a 3-3-5, and they still got to the quarterback. So Tulsa's defense is playing very well. The thing about Tulsa under Philip Montgomery, their coach, is that they've been known as like a passing team because Philip Montgomery was the offensive coordinator at Baylor under Art Briles. So that's kind of been their identity until last year. Their defense has actually kind of taken over as this team's identity since the last year, where they went 4-8, but they're a lot better than their record, right? I know they lost at SMU in a 3 overtime game. They beat UCF. They had a lot of close losses. They were actually up against Oklahoma State last year in the third quarter. So even though they went 4-8, they're better than their record. It looks like Oklahoma State just barely was able to miss out on a downing the ball on the 1 yard line on that punt there. So it is a touchback. So I'm actually not surprised with this result. I was surprised that the line was 23.5. My model had no play on it, but I know I said during the live stream during my picks, I said Tulsa's a lot better than their 4-8 record last year. And when you have something happen like Oklahoma State losing their starting quarterback after the first drive of the game in this game, then they are going to not be where they want to be. Tulsa does not respect the passing game at all with the backup for Oklahoma State. But really the question is, Oklahoma State's defense is playing well, but that's never really been a strength of theirs. So Tulsa's quarterback is experienced. He's a veteran, so they moved the ball on their last drive of the second half, but until then they had been shut out. So I know from my experience at TCU, that was always something that kind of was the thing when we would play Power 5 teams when we were in the Mountain West, is that our offense would usually not be that great. Outside of the game against Baylor my senior year, every time we played a Power 5 team, our offense was not that great because we were kind of, we could just bully teams in the Mountain West. But whenever we'd play a team that could match our talent or better, it would be more of like let's kind of grind them out type of thing. Like we played Clemson my junior year, and we only scored 14 on them, but we won because our defense. So that was kind of the thing. Our defense could usually hold its own, but offensively is where we would usually struggle when we would play Power 5 teams. Or teams who could match our ability level, like Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl my junior year. They were able to match. And also it's not fair because during spring practice in 2009, before my junior year, we actually did a coach trade. And by coach trade, I mean, during spring practice, a lot of coaches from certain programs will go visit other programs and share ideas, right? And we had just played Boise State in the Poinsettia Bowl and everything. We weren't expecting to play them again. But so we did a coach trade with Boise State during that spring, and we just so happened to play them in the Fiesta Bowl later that year. So they knew what we were doing. They already knew what we were doing. So that was kind of just an unfortunate turn of events. So they were able to plan for us pretty well in that Fiesta Bowl. Still in commercial break. I'm gonna look at the chat here. Are you winning? Well, as of right now, I can't complain. I went through the 4 bets I have live right now, and all 4 of them are in what I call can't complain mode, meaning it could be a lot worse. By the way, I went golfing yesterday, and I put my club down when I was hitting another shot. I took my pitching wedge and putter out at the same time, so I put my putter down when I was hitting a wedge shot. And apparently I put my putter in a ant pile, and so my hand is all covered in ant bites. That was pretty scary. I was having to... what did I do at TCU? I was a walk-on wide receiver. Betfair prices in your... I mean, I will never criticize anyone who puts Betfair prices or anything like that in a model. Like I said, if it works for you, it works for you. The one thing I do struggle with, though, or I wouldn't say I struggle with it, but just people are saying, like, oh, you need to factor in pinnacle lines to your model. You need to be able to beat the closing line. And I have a video about this, but it's very hard to just beat the closing line. If your model is good, you're going to do it, but you can't just set out to do it, especially if you don't have a model. Louisville or Miami? Let me see what my model said. I don't think I have a play on it. I need to fix this model where I can not have to click these arrows to get. Oh, there it was. So Louisville, Miami. The blender says Miami by about a touchdown. The ATM says, the blender says Louisville by a touchdown. ATM says Miami by 3. So the two methods are not on the same page. But overall, it says Louisville by about 2. So that's right in line with what the line is. I actually have a play on the Miami money line, I think. Let me make sure it showed up over here. Yeah, they're right here at plus 113, only because the ATM cover percentage or win percentage for Miami is 62.5%. That might change though. I changed some of the weights around because of those 0M factors, and that might have changed these numbers. So let me go ahead and run it again and see if anything changed. Alright, well that's running. I'll go back to the chat. Do I have a Sports Insights account? I used to back in the day, but not anymore because I don't trust it. Any information like that is going to be very, very partial and limited, and I think Sports Insights is simply just a company trying to funnel you into their paid picks because they offer that. They suck you in with their bet percentages, and then they try to say, oh, click here and we'll give you plays, right? Sports Insights, to put it simply, is a tout website. That's why I don't. And I don't trust public bet percentages anywhere. If they are giving out bet percentages for free, you can't trust it because it's not the complete picture. From my experience, bet percentages are a tightly guarded secret that sportsbooks do not like to give out. And there's a reason for that. So any bet percentages is going to be very incomplete picture. That's public and available for free. Back in the day, like 2015, 2016, I would incorporate the Sports Insight bet percentages into my systems, and then I realized it wasn't working because they don't tell the whole picture. Alright, so this got done running. Let's see if anything for Miami and Louisville changed. No, it's still at 62.5%. The M factor for that game is 8, so that's still pretty low. But usually in a normal season, under normal circumstances, your M factor is going to be, you want the average M factor. So if I averaged all these, you want it to be about, here, let me go back to my 2018 model on this computer because that was the last time I ran it where it's set up like the way it is right now. Because if you haven't watched my videos, you would have seen me say I took out a function of the model in 2019, or for this year that I had in there in 2019. So let me open my model from 2018. It's on this computer, so you won't see it, but I'll be able to tell you. Because that's where the you want the M factors to be consistent month to month. So let's see. Man, Oklahoma State cannot get any short yardage. So yeah, my M factors in 2018 were around 200, right? So that's where you want it to be, but early on in the season they're going to be lower because you're dealing with projections and not actuals, and projections tend to be a lot the bell curve of projections is a lot narrower than the bell curve of actuals. So, but ideally you want this number to be about average about 200 across the board, and it's only about 50, so it's not there yet. So Oklahoma State had to, or Tulsa had to punt again. I thought that was Oklahoma State who just got stuffed on third down. I was wrong. But, man, where is my 2018 model at? It's not on this computer. It is on this computer, so I'll just pull it up. Gosh, really going back. When did I last touch it? So, yeah, we got 2018. So this is a regression-based model, and it's going to look a lot different, I'll tell you that. Oh, I know what the deal is. I need to change the resolution on my computer. It's in 4K. So, wow, this is bowl games, by the way. Like, Texas and Georgia, Washington, Ohio State. Yeah, so this is the last time I used it was for bowl games, obviously. So the M factors here, but these are neutral site games. M factors for neutral site games are going to be about double. So that's an average of 387. So yeah, around 180 M factors when you take out neutral sites. But when you come over here, or no, the finger two, the standard deviation cutoff was 0.9. So I think my standard deviation cutoff right now is 0.33. So yeah, the more games you get in and the more the bell curve widens, the higher the M factors are going to get. So it's not common for them to be low this early on. Let me see if I can find out what the M factors were last year in the early weeks. No, it's not in there. I don't know what folder it's going to be in. Might be in this folder. No, that's my college basketball. No, I guess it's going to be in my OneDrive. So very early on last year, here we go. And if I haven't even said it, M factors are, that's not it. M factors are pretty much how, so if you were to take say this matchup right here, Appalachian State, UL Lafayette, say you were to combine all their stats into one average stat for all the teams, how far away from the mean do those teams' stats deviate? So obviously two really good teams playing together is going to have a really low M factor because, you know, those two teams that are really good are far away from the mean because they're really good. But two very average teams playing against each other are going to have very high M factors because they're close to the mean. This isn't it though. Not the file I'm looking for. I'm trying to find out what the M factors were for the early weeks last year. Oklahoma State with a deep pass and threw into double coverage and incomplete. So that quarterback for Oklahoma State keeps throwing ducks. I haven't seen him throw very many spirals. And then they just stack the box. That's what happens when you have no passing game. That was a pretty good interception by Boston College there. Ripped the ball out of his hands. It's running so slow. All right, so yeah, week 2. What were the M factors last year for week 2? So an average of about 218. So like I said, the M factors aren't where I want them to be. That's something I'm gonna have to work on this week. Too late to make changes right now. I just got to roll with this. And also, like I said, it's not a normal season, and one of the stats I have in there have not updated for the year, and so that's also affecting things as well. All right, geez, so many commercial breaks. Like every time I look over, it's a commercial. But I don't get how this antenna cannot pick up ABC. Maybe if I like open the blinds. All right, Georgia State scored another touchdown. That's good. Yeah, that's crazy. Can't pick up ABC. Oh, looks like Oklahoma State finally got a 3rd and long conversion on a pass. This, by the way, this camera's gonna run out of battery, so I'm gonna have to switch webcams to my computer webcam until this battery could charge. Even though I have it plugged in, it's running out of battery. Yeah, so I have to use my computer webcam until my, because I have like a what's called a cam link, and the cam link. By the way, is my voice syncing up? I might need to turn off the sync for the microphone. All right, who's best player in the world? I don't watch soccer. I wouldn't be able to answer that question. The last time I watched soccer was the World Cup when the United States was in it back in 2014 when they played Belgium, I think. It's not something that's big here in the United States. Who do I like for the Wake Forest game? I don't think I have I think I am on NC State Moneyline. Let me be sure. Yeah, NC State Moneyline minus 125. I don't know what it's at right now. Let me look. But yeah, going back to soccer, like, I understand that my channel could really grow big if I covered soccer, but I'm not going to cover a sport that I know nothing about. It's it's more of like I could be like a tout and pretend I'm an expert in something I'm not, but I don't. I want to. Here's the deal: building models and maintaining them takes a lot of time, and you don't want to overextend yourself. So that's really why I only focus on like one model at a time. Like in the summer, it's baseball. In the fall, it's college football, and then in the winter, it's college basketball. And then I take a little bit of time off before doing baseball again. That's kind of the typical cycle. Because even with the model and everything, like the day-to-day operations of whether it be my baseball model or my college basketball model, it takes time, to maintain every day and put the bets in and everything. Not so much with my college football model because it's just once a week, but the other two, yeah, there's no way to be able to add a second model on top of that. So right now, Wake Forest is actually a favorite. So that's not good. That means I have a bad price on NC State's money line. They're at plus 105 now, and I have a minus 125, so that's not a good sign. It is what it is, though. But yeah, my typical, what I use for a camera is a Sony camera, and I have it plugged in via HDMI to my computer via an Elgato Cam Link. But the thing is, I forgot to charge the camera before starting this because, like I said, this was just intended to be a test run. So even though I had the camera plugged in into the socket, apparently the battery drains faster than it can charge. So I'm gonna have to run with my computer webcam for now. All right. You can't gamble football in California. I know. That's why I had to drive to Las Vegas. I did have a Five Dimes account, but that's not. By the way, if any of you have a Five Dimes account, has anyone been able to cash out yet? Like I've been trying to cash out personally, and they keep sending me emails saying we need this, we need this, we need this. I've never cashed out before. I made an initial deposit of $900 back in 2017 on my 5 dimes account, and I'm trying to withdraw for the first time on my 5 dimes account a decent amount of money. Let's say it's a lot more than 900, and they right now they need me to call them and do a phone verification. If I don't do it in 48 hours, my payout will be automatically rejected. All right, so I need to do that at some point. Do I ever veer away from my model? The only time I will never make a play that my model says not to, but I will not make plays that my model does say to make. And if you watched my videos last year for college football, you would have seen in week 7, I think, my model was saying play Bowling Green plus 1750 on the money line, big underdogs. And I was like, no, I've watched Bowling Green this year. They suck, because my model had been picking Bowling Green every week, and they'd been getting their butts kicked every week and not covering or winning. And so they were playing Toledo. They are 28-point dogs, and my model said to play Bowling Green on the money line. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I keep getting burned on them. And guess what? They win. And I lost out on a huge money line cash. I vetoed it. But I will never make plays that my model says not to. That I will never do. But I will veto plays that my model does say to make, which often backfires on me, but it's also helped before as well. All right, 3rd and 8 here for Tulsa. They have not converted a 3rd down all day long. They are at the midfield, 48-yard line. 3 to the right, 1 to the left. Shotgun, drops back to pass. Throws over the middle, it's dropped. He should have caught that. Incomplete, 4th down. I mean, it wasn't an easy catch, but it was thrown right on the money, and you got to catch that, especially if you're going to win a game like this. Yeah, that was a good pass. And the person who dropped the ball is the coach's son, so I wonder how that will go. All right, UL Lafayette just scored a touchdown to pull back within 7. Not good for me. Look at the scores. So Pitt scored a touchdown, not good. Liberty scored a touchdown, good. So I guess I'm in good shape right now for the games that I have active right now. How about I'll highlight the active games that I have right now. These are active. Everything in white. Make that a little darker. By the way, this game is a push. No, it's not supposed to come in at 180. It's supposed to come in at 0. How about I just don't fill it out at all? How about that? Let me test this. Okay, there we go. So it's just for a push. Well, let me test this too. Okay, good. Alright. So everything that is highlighted are active games right now. Alright, so Oklahoma State's moving the ball. So if I was like saying where I stand right now, Syracuse will probably be a win against the spread, but a loss on the money line. This is currently up, this is currently up, and this is probably going to be resolve as a win. I'm not gonna by red line I mean I feel like the bet is resolved. So I'm not gonna red line Tulane yet because it's 24-7 I think, but they are in very good shape. If you put 3 games in a parlay all with money line, who would you take? Well, I'm not a big fan of moneyline parlays, but I'll answer your question anyway. Um, the thing with moneyline parlays is they look a lot. They're kind of like teasers in that they look a lot better on paper than they are actually in real life. I remember when I lived in Las Vegas back in 2012, before I really got really deep into models and everything, I would always place these like 8-team moneyline parlays for college football that I thought could not lose, right? And usually 7 of the 8 teams would win, and then the 8th team would always lose, and I'd never win any of these bets because they always look better on paper than in person than they really do. He is out of bounds. That's not going to be a touchdown. They're going to call that back. He was out of bounds. Are they not going to throw a flag for illegal touching there? He must have been pushed out, and that's why the rest didn't throw it. But anyway, going back to moneyline parlays, I remember in 2012 it was week 3 or 4, and I put a 8-team college football moneyline parlay, and the first 7 won. And the only team I had left was Georgia Tech at home against Miami, and they had it 4th and inches late in the 4th quarter, up by 7. And they got stuffed on their triple option, and then Miami went the length of the field to tie the game and force overtime. And then Miami kicked a field goal in overtime to start overtime. So instead of kicking a field goal on 4th down in overtime to tie and send it to a second overtime, Georgia Tech went for it again on 4th and inches and ran their triple option and got stuffed again, and that bet lost. And I think that was the last time I ever made a moneyline parlay in college football. Now, I have done it in college basketball. If you watch my college basketball videos this past winter before the season got canceled, you would see me make moneyline parlays. But that was because I was trying to get plays in while still keeping the number of units risk low. That's why I did it. That's the only time I ever recommend a moneyline parlay is if your model's telling you to make plays, but you are trying to keep your number of units risked under a reasonable threshold. Mainly when it comes to big favorites. But if I was to play a 3-team moneyline parlay this week in college football, let's go over here. Alright, so we're looking at the ATM edge. Probably UCF would be one. Tulane would have been one. And Troy. It would be those 3. I like to play favorites and not dogs. If you're going to play a dog on the money line, just play them outright. Never parlay them. The point of a moneyline parlay, in my opinion, is to get favorites juiced down. Moneyline parlaying dogs is stupid. Just play them separately. Because chances are if you put 3 of them in a parlay, then all 3 of them are not going to win, and you just wasted your money. What if 2 of the 3 win, right? Then you've left a lot of money on the table. Parlays might compound value, but they also compound the risk. It's kind of like yes, a parlay could compound value, but house edge is also compounded as well. It goes both ways. So many commercials. Yeah, I would love to have a camera pointed to the TV. I would, but the stream would be shut down immediately. Like when I had the idea to do like a live stream like this, the idea was for me to be in a Las Vegas sports book while doing it and have a camera pointed towards the wall of screens, which I didn't do last year, but I actually tested the setup while I was at one of the sports book last year, and it was just too cluttered. Like, you don't have a lot of room, and with the computer and a camera and a tripod and everything, it was too much. And, like, what if I wanted to go to the bathroom, right? I'd have to leave all that equipment there and hope nobody steals it. So it's better in here. But I'm in this Airbnb. This is an Airbnb. It's in a rural area. It's outside the city center. I got it for 2 months for a very good price. The reason I'm staying in an Airbnb right now is because, like I said, I just don't want to commit to any housing solution long term until things go back to normal. The CEO of my company this past week sent out a video saying when we're going to go back to work, and he's like, probably not until there's a vaccine. So that could not be that could be until April, and that's for people that actually need to be in the building. Like my department doesn't really need to be in the building because I'm a corporate employee. Like my company's based in Cincinnati, but I was based in San Diego, but I don't have to be in San Diego. That's just where my team is headquartered at. So I could see my department being permanent work from home because there's really no point for us to be. I work for TV stations, right? I work for Scripps Broadcasting, and we have TV stations all over the country. So obviously people who work for the stations themselves need to be there, but I work for all the stations in the company, right? Oklahoma State just scored a touchdown, by the way. So there's no need for me to actually be at the TV station in San Diego. That's just where I was based. So I don't live near the city center right now because it's save money, and I was able to get a short term. A lot of apartments and everything want 6 months. I'm not going to commit to something like that. So I actually got a pretty good deal on this garage apartment. Definitely a lot cheaper than the $2,700 a month I was paying in that apartment I used to live in. And this is kind of what I plan on doing until, my company is more firm on how things are going to go in terms of being in the office and stuff. I'm not the biggest fan. I like having my own space. I don't like living out of suitcases and living off someone else's property and stuff, but you got to do what you got to do. This is a long-term decision. I feel like this will pay off for me in the long term because I'll be able to save more money and not be as stressed out. I love being out in, I guess the country is what you'd call it, because you less people to deal with, less crowds, a lot more peaceful and quiet. I'm not a city person. Hit a 2-team parlay last week. So you parlayed those Coastal and San Antonio games. Nice. I'm not a parlay person, but hey, I'm not going to judge you. If you want to do it, it's your decision. But yeah, good call. Good call on that. I don't think I've ever actually played a Moneyline parlay featuring dogs in my life. I've done, like I said, I've done it with favorites, but I don't think I'd ever done it with dogs. There was a time and place where I played a lot of parlays. The first time I ever went to Las Vegas, so basically the first time I ever bet on sports was championship week of college basketball back in 2011. I went to Las Vegas. That was also the first time I ever went to Las Vegas. And all I did was really bet parlays, college basketball parlays, and I hit some, right? And I feel like that kind of gave me a false sense of confidence when it came to parlays. It was funny. I remember I hit a 5-teamer. And the game that clinched it was UC Santa Barbara against Long Beach State in the Big West Championship game at like midnight on a Saturday. But that was back when I was still a broke college student, and I was only betting like $10 parlays, so I think I only got $200. But $200 is a lot of money for me at the time. All right, let's see if Oklahoma State can finish this off. 10 points though, like that. I know they have a backup quarterback and everything, but still, if you can only score 10 points on Tulsa, even with a backup quarterback, you still have a Heisman contender at running back, so that can't be very concerning. As a TCU fan, you see teams like Iowa State and Oklahoma State struggle to score, and we're like, okay, TCU, we usually have the best defense in the conference every year. So that's good for us, right? If Tulsa can hold Oklahoma State to 10, or if Iowa State can, or if UL Lafayette can hold Iowa State to 14, TCU's defense should be able to do that, right? But it usually never works out that way. Man, I still can't believe I don't get ABC on this TV. Yes, parlays are sucker bets. He's right. Not saying you can't win on them, but the odds are not in your favor. I have videos about it where I explain kind of how the house edge on parlays are higher. That's where sportsbooks make their money. That's why they print out these parlay cards that are really easy to fill out, the Scantron parlay cards. That's why they print out a buttload of those and have them all over the sports book in Las Vegas. They want you to play them because, especially the cards, like actually placing a parlay at the counter, you get a lot better odds than the cards. The cards have even worse odds. So, but the thing with cards is that they're a lot easier to fill out, and they have stale lines. Meaning they put them on a Wednesday, and the lines on that card are going to be the same all the way through Sunday if you're betting NFL. So that's why the odds are worse for you, since the lines are stale. This is a light, by the way, in case you're wondering what I'm fiddling around with. I keep looking at this camera even though it's off. This is the camera that's on right now. I'm really interested in this UCF game, just because I know Georgia Tech sucks. Even though they beat Florida State last week, I still think they are not that good. I'm interested, but they have a game under the belt, and UCF, they underachieved last year. They went 11-2, which for UCF is not, that's a letdown of a season. This is a game they should win, though. I think 7.5. The thing with UCF is that when I watched them last year against Stanford, before they had lost their first game and before everyone was talking about them being a playoff team, they reminded me a lot of Baylor's offense when Art Briles was the coach. Meaning their point is to just demoralize you. That's what they did. They would just run really fast pace and just throw nothing but deep bombs every play and hope to connect on them and just demoralize you, get you out of the game. But usually where the Baylor approach would fail was when they played a team that would have a defensive line good enough to neutralize the run game and therefore make it one-dimensional. And that's how Pitt was able to beat them last year, and that's how Cincinnati was able to beat them last year, and that's how Tulsa was able to beat. So they lost 3. They went 10-3. Tulsa, I don't think, beat them with a good defensive line, although their defense was decent last year. But I'm interested to see if they can rebound this year. I will say this, though. I do not think they are good enough to be a playoff team in 2017 or 2018. I think them being in a New Year's Six Bowl is enough. I don't think they're a top 4 team, even though they're undefeated. Mainly because they were never really challenged in the regular season. I think the only P5 team they beat in 2017 was Maryland, who is not good. They went 4-8, I think. And then in 2018, the P5 teams they beat were Pitt. I think that was it, actually. I think just Pitt. And then people say, well, the AAC is pretty good, but I don't know, it's the bottom of the AC, and the top teams are, they're okay. They're not top 10 caliber teams. If you want to go to a nicer restaurant for the night, parlay, that's true. It's like, okay, if I win this parlay, I'm gonna go to say you're in Las Vegas. Okay, if I win this parlay, I'm gonna go to a really nice steakhouse in Las Vegas. If I lose the parlay, I'm going to the McDonald's at the food court. Yeah. What do you think it's harder, make it as a sports bettor or becoming a day trader? Well, they're both hard. I think definitely making it as a sports bettor, though, because the data you need is a lot harder to come by, and the avenues that you have to bet are a lot more limited. Offshore books are annoying, and you can be limited at places. You're not going to be limited as a day trader. Got to be sweating out Tulane. I know. I saw that Navy had the ball on the goal line. I have them on the money line, though. I don't have them on the spread. Oh, yeah. Navy did score. So it's 24-17 now. It was 24-0, so Navy's, I guess, somehow found out how to play football all of a sudden. Oh, Liberty scored again. They're up by, UL Lafayette tied. That's not good, but Liberty's up. I might turn on this Louisiana game here in a second. See how Tulsa does on this drive and then change over. I do miss my multi-TV setup that I would used to have. So if you watched my videos last year, you would have saw me come out with those cooking videos, the cooking videos. That's so I used to live in Las Vegas, right? So in 2013, when I wasn't living in Las Vegas anymore, I was like, well, I don't want Saturdays to suck because my Saturdays when I lived in Las Vegas would always be morning to, all day in the sports book. And I was like, well, I want my Saturdays to be special somehow, even though I'm not in Las Vegas anymore. So I started to cook on Saturdays instead, like make things, cook. And so that's really been my tradition on Saturdays in the fall since 2013. It's just cook and pig out all day. But I'm not doing that this year because the kitchen in this Airbnb is kind of small, and I'm also trying to stick to a diet right now. So no more junk food cookie, at least for the time being. So I just got to eat diet food. It is what it is. On that road trip I took, I ate too much, and so no cooking. Does Navy have the ball again? I need to get a new. I need to fix my phone screen. It's cracked, and so I have to use the stylus a lot because it doesn't register my touch. Yeah, total BS. Like I had my phone in the case and everything, and I had it in my pocket when I was running, and it fell out and it just cracked everywhere, even with the case. Yep, Navy has the ball and is driving. Notre Dame, I don't have a play on that game, but they scored already. I'm gonna switch over to this Louisiana Georgia State game because I have a bet. I don't have a bet on this Tulsa game, so where is Louisiana Georgia State? Oh, that's in a commercial break too. Awesome. Where's my? Here it is. All right. Oh, Georgia State got the ball back. That's good. But it's commercial again because end of the quarter. So there you go. Commercial, one play, commercial. Crazy. But yeah, I used to have a setup in my apartment where I had my main TV, my side TV, and then I had two computers. So I'd have 4 games going on at once. But I'm not going to do that because first of all, I'm using this computer for the live stream. And second of all, like I said, I don't think this apartment or garage apartment has the internet bandwidth. Not so much because they don't have the bandwidth, but the people who are renting this out to me said that their internet is satellite internet because this is a rural area. And, they don't, who knows how much that can handle. But I want to be considerate because I'm probably sharing the internet with the people in the house next door, so the people running this out. So just one TV at a time. But like I said, I could have 2 games going on at once if I could get ABC. I think that's the only broadcast game going on at 2:30. Oh, there's a game on CBS, but it's Appalachian State and Marshall, which I don't have a bet, or I have a bet on Marshall, so I could turn that on, and then have UCF and Georgia Tech on the stream. Who would have thought that Appalachian State and Marshall would be the CBS game of the week? But I'm actually looking forward to next Saturday. Like I said, this is just a test run for the stream concept, but I was really planning on making next Saturday the launch for doing this because of the SEC. Navy is going downfield. 4th and 1. Oh, that's on ABC too. Okay. going to put that on real quick. Oh, did Navy just score? Oh crap! Navy Tulane's blowing. They were up 24-0, and now it's about to be a tie game. If they can get this 2-point conversion. What happened to Tulane? I mean, they didn't look great last week, and they're just falling apart against a team that looked horrible against BYU. All right, 2-point conversion. They're in their flex bump formation. Fake the toss to the left, rolling out, and wide open. Wide open. And a roughing the passer flag. Tulane, what are you doing? Alright, I'm going to put this Georgia State game back on. Man, Tulane. I wonder how long it takes to charge this camera up. Not that it matters. Let me look at what it looks like. I mean, it doesn't look terrible. I just like the camera better. Man, Georgia State just got sacked on 4th down or on 3rd down. They're gonna have to punt. Third and goal for Tulsa. I'm gonna switch over to that real quick. Alright, so Tulsa, 3rd and goal. 3 receivers to the right, drop back. He's going to be sacked. Evaded it. Rolling out to the right. Throws. Batted down. Incomplete. Tulsa is going to have to settle for the field goal to tie the game. Get my water. Oops. I mean, if Liberty can hold on, which they're up by 13 right now, then I'm in good shape regardless of what happens for the rest of the games in this time slot. I do not get how Liberty was such big dogs. I really don't. That one made no sense to me. Oh, he missed the field goal. Tulsa guy missed the field goal. Poor guy. 26-yarder. It was their field goal misses what lost them their game against SMU last year too. Oh crap. UL Lafayette down at the 2-yard line. Georgia State melting down. A little change of fortunes here in the past 15 minutes. I'm still confident that Tulane's going to pull it out, though. Marshall and Louisiana Tech. Yeah, the travel things, you know, the travel videos I do. So much footage. Editing that is a pain. Those videos are more for me than for an audience, you know, just so I can, like, take videos of my trip and be able to relive it myself. But I post them anyway, just for the heck of it. I've only done 2 days so far. I still have 13 to go. That was a 15-day road trip. Can Georgia State make a goal line stand here? I doubt it. Nope, touchdown. If you're wondering why I keep looking at my hand, it's because I have ant bites all over it. I'm going to go ahead. No, it's probably too early to redline the Syracuse money line, but it'll take a miracle. Alright, I'm going to turn this Tulane game back on. So we're going to have a 3rd and 5 at midfield for Tulane here. Pretty big play, considering they haven't been able to stop Navy the entire half. That's weird. It's been a tale of 2 halves. 24 nothing for Tulane in the first half and 24 nothing for Navy in the second half. And it's raining. Oh man, hit behind the line of scrimmage on 3rd and 4. Yeah, the Stanley Cup final is tonight, and the Stars. I'm a Stars fan. I grew up a Stars fan. I went to their games. I used to cover them when I worked at ESPN Radio. And I honestly don't care. This whole playing in front of 0 fans up in Canada, it doesn't do it for me. Does not do it for me. Stanley Cup playoffs need fans for it to. Oh, they're going for a 4th down and he dropped the ball. Man, why would you go for it there, first of all? Man, I guess that's why they don't pay me millions of dollars a year to be a coach. First of all, the pass was not even at the 1st down marker. Alright, switching games. Or is every game in a commercial right now? Probably. I have YouTube TV. That's why I use my phone to change the channel. Back to Louisiana and Georgia State. Do you think they should make an NFL Red Zone for college? Well, it exists. It's on ESPN3, the ESPN3, the website. But it's called like ESPN Goal Line, and it's only for games that are on the ESPN channels, which is, ABC, ESPN, and all that, ESPNU, any internet broadcasts. So, I mean, it kind of exists in that way. Oh, wow, that was a really nice option read by the Georgia State quarterback there. When I was in high school, we ran the triple option out of a wishbone. Um, so I know exactly what the reads are and how it works and everything. Yeah, like everyone called my high school team like Nebraska because we actually ran a triple option out of the wishbone. But it sucked for me as a wide receiver because we never passed. Like, a pass play was very rare, even when it was third and long. Uh, but really, on a triple option, there's different keys that the quarterback is reading. So the first key is going to be you leave the three technique, which is usually a defensive tackle. The defensive tackle to the side you're going. He's unblocked on purpose, and based on what he does, if he crashes down on the fullback, then the quarterback pulls the ball. But if he stays put, like playing a contain, then the fullback gets the ball. So if you're watching a triple option team and they hand off to the fullback, it's because the three technique basically stayed home. But if the three technique crashes down on the fullback, then the quarterback pulls the ball and continues down the line, and then they usually have an outside linebacker that's the next read key, and he's reading that guy. Based on what the linebacker does, it determines whether the quarterback keeps it or pitches the ball. Ideally, in a triple option offense, all 11 players have an assignment, and if all 11 players do their job, it's very hard to stop. So you're probably thinking, why don't more teams do it? Because it's not hard to stop. The keyword being all 11 guys have to do their job, and if you're playing a team that's just better or more fundamentally sound, then it's impossible for all 11 guys to do their job. And also things like penalties, turnovers, loss of yardage, those three things will kill you. So the last year we ran the triple option at my high school, we went 3-7, and we're not that good because we just played teams that were more athletic than we were, and they had no problem shutting down our option offense. All right, Georgia State, let's see if you guys can do this. Oh, he was out here. That's a pass interference call. Come on, ref. He pulled him down. I have the Georgia State UL game on, by the way. So if you're not watching, Georgia State receiver is open in the end zone, but the ULL cornerback, that's definite pass interference. Grabbed him by the shoulder pads and pulled him down. All right, 2nd and 10 from the 31. Drops back to pass. He throws it. Terrible camera work, but it's caught for a first down. Terrible camera work, but Georgia State has the ball at about the 13-yard line, 1st and 10. The camera didn't even have the receiver, so you don't know if he caught it or not. The thing is, a lot of these games, that especially a matchup like this, although I don't know, a lot of these games, the camera crews are actually students. But if it's going to be broadcast nationally on ESPN2, I'm pretty sure ESPN will bring in their own crew. But on the ESPNU and ESPN3 and all that, good chance the game's being broadcast by students. I used to do that at TCU. I would be on the broadcasting crews for games that we did at TCU that were on Fox Sports. I directed, I produced, I did camera. I did camera like the first year, but then the second year I was more of a producer. And if you're wondering what a producer does for a broadcast, a producer's pretty much in charge of the graphics, um, the broadcast in general, the commercial breaks. Think of it this way: the producer is the head coach, and the director is the quarterback. So the producer's at the top. Touchdown Georgia State, by the way. Um, the producer's like at the top. The producer is in charge of how everything's going to run, and then the director kind of executes the producer's wishes. But I was a producer for TCU sports broadcast for about 4 years. But you got paid per game. It was like a contract thing. They paid you by the game. It wasn't like a full-time job or anything. You just kind of basically, the guy who's in charge of putting together the crews, his name was Mike Martin. He would just email you or call you up saying if you wanted to work a game that was going to be broadcast on Fox Sports or ESPN3 or even the Mountain, back when the Mountain existed, CBS College Sports. Obviously, I didn't do football because I was playing at the time, but I would do basketball and baseball and volleyball. Mostly baseball. I mean, they loved the fact that we would do basically every baseball game. We just gave them a lot of content. But some basketball as well, and volleyball. Alright, Georgia State tied it up. Good news there. Let's see how Liberty's doing. Western Kentucky scored a touchdown. That's not good. But they're still up by 6. Navy's going to be punting here. This is where I wish I had my multi-TV setup. Okie State not going to cover. Yeah, that was pretty apparent after. That was apparent early on. When I eyeballed that line, I thought it was too high. But my model, what did my model say about it? I think Tulsa had 2 keys and Oklahoma State had 2 keys. So it was pretty split. Alright, so Oklahoma State had the blender and the penny, but Tulsa had the ATM and the cover percent ATM. So it was split. My model, look at this. They thought Oklahoma State was going to score about 48 to 50. Yeah, once their quarterback went out, I think they took out their second stringer and put in their third stringer. So they've moved the ball a little bit better, but yeah, they're not going to cover. Do I go ahead and redline any of these? That is the question. Can I redline? I call it redline because when I would do NCAA tournament, I'd always put a red Sharpie through teams that were out. That's why I call it redline. Alright, Tulane got the ball back. Tie game with Georgia State. Yeah, it's going to be disappointing if these big money lines come through and I'm only betting small unit sizes. So, in actual money, it's $40. My usual unit size is between $200 and $225, and I'm only betting a fifth of that, so $40. So, I mean, I'll win about $225 if Georgia State wins, which is 1 unit for me. Alright, which game do I turn on? How about we tune in for the final drive for... We can see if Liberty can ice this game. They have the ball. Let's see if Liberty can ice the game. Alright, So third down for Liberty with about 2 minutes and 48 seconds to go. Western Kentucky just called their second timeout. Liberty has a 6-point lead. They are on the, I can't tell, the 38-yard line? They're on 38. So really, Liberty gets a first. It's 3rd and 1, so if they can get a first down here, we should look good. I'm not going to red line it if they do, but I mean, it'll take a miracle for Western Kentucky to win if Liberty can get a first down here. It's 3rd and 1. I only red line when I'm sure. So this game's complete. I'm going to bold. I'm just going to put a P here and or not. I mean, this Baylor's not playing today, so how about games that are complete get this treatment right here? The blue treatment. And games that are complete over here get the bright yellow treatment. Alright, they got it. They got the first down. They got it. So Liberty, Western has one more timeout. 2:45 left. Alright, so we're probably going to get 3 runs up the middle for Liberty here. Do I use the college football data API? Yes, I do. I remember when they were first developing it, and I was kind of skeptical because they were missing some games, and I honestly believe that a model is not worthy unless you have a complete set of games, like 100% of the games in, and they had some games that were missing. But over time, I've learned that's not exactly the case. I mean, it's ideal. In an ideal world, you're going to have 100% of the games, but if you only get 95, it matters more in a sport like football, where like if you're missing one game out of 12, that's almost 10% of games missing. But in a sport like basketball or something with 40 games, only missing one game's not that big of a deal. But that was kind of my big hang up at first with college football data API. But I've kind of learned to overcome it. So yes, I do. It's good. I would recommend it. I did have an issue with the play-by-play data last year. I don't know if they fixed it or not, because my model doesn't use play-by-play data. I think it was it was either play-by-play. Yeah, it was play-by-play data, because it would say what yard line the ball was on, but it wouldn't say what side of the field the ball was on. So you had no way of knowing. So that's why I couldn't use it. But my model doesn't use play-by-play data for college football, so it really doesn't matter. But I was trying to use it for I was trying to find that data because I was trying to make a video about success rate, that statistic in football, but I couldn't, I was trying to use that play-by-play data to do the video for it, but then I ran into the problem. I was like, okay, which side of the field is the ball on? So, all right, 1st and 10 Liberty, 2:30. They are going to run up the middle, I guarantee it. All right, ball snap, handed off to the running back. He is going for about 5 yards. Western is going to use its last timeout, maybe, or not. Clock's still running. Man, they're really hyping up this Miami-Louisville game. I lived in Louisville, Kentucky for a couple years. I didn't live there when Lamar won the Heisman. I was there the year after. Where he was there as a senior, and they had a pretty bad year. Based on a Heisman Trophy guy coming back, and you go 7-6 or whatever the record was. That's not good. Quarterback's keeping it for Liberty, and first down. That's ball game. All right, Liberty is our first red line of the day. All right, good job, Liberty. Thanks for coming through for me. We are on the board. Congratulations if you took liberty with me. So I can turn this game off. I'm going to put on Tulane. But yeah, going back, I used to live in Louisville, and I worked at the NBC TV station there, Wave 3. And I was actually the person who broke the news of the FBI Rick Pitino stuff to our GM. And I went to my GM. I was like, "Hey, did you hear this about Rick Pitino?" And he was like, "No." And he's like, "Are you pulling my leg?" And I said, "No." And then he immediately picked up the phone. It was like 9:30 in the morning, right? He picked up the phone immediately and he called our sports anchor and told him to get his ass in the studio. And so they were doing like break-in coverage about that all day. Like Louisville basketball is a very big deal there. Louisville is the biggest college basketball market in the country in terms of TV ratings. Because you have Louisville and you have University of Kentucky fans. It's one of the only markets in the country where the Super Bowl is not the highest rated TV event of the year. It was actually third place in Louisville, the Super Bowl. Number one is the Louisville versus Kentucky basketball game. That does a higher rating than the Super Bowl. And number two is the Kentucky Derby. Both of those do better ratings than the Super Bowl in that market. I loved living there. I mean, I didn't want to leave. I did not leave by choice. The broadcast company I worked for was Raycom Media at the time, and they got bought out by Gray Media, and they pretty much showed a lot of us the door, including me, so they could bring in their own people. And that's why I moved to San Diego, because that's, the best offer I got when I was looking for work after that. The thing is I make about $50,000 a year more at my San Diego job than I did in Kentucky, but the purchasing power is about the same. Because the cost of living and taxes is so much lower in Louisville that pretty much the difference in salary, I pretty much pay an additional housing costs and taxes. So it's a wash. All right, Tulane, you're on the clock. Marshall ML or Louisiana Tech ML? Well, I have them both, so let's look. I'm going to come over here to the stage. So we got Marshall Moneyline is 6.5%. Whoops. Yeah, so we're looking at this right here. So 6.5% for Marshall, and then Louisiana Tech is 11. So Louisiana Tech. I need to make this. There we go. All right, what I want Tulane to do here is just slowly run this clock, because Navy's not a team built for the 2-minute drill. So they can just chew this clock and get some kind of points out of this drive. We should be in good shape. How's Georgia State doing? Oh, they got the ball back, so as soon as this third down's over, I'll switch over to the Georgia State game. Yeah, Syracuse lost, so I can redline that one, but they did cover over here, so. Why does it say minus 1050? That's weird. It should be minus 0.2. Yeah, I accidentally wiped this earlier, so I had to re-put in the formula. Tulane's going for it 4th and 3. I don't like it at all, but... And they're throwing a fade on 4th and 3? And he doesn't catch it, of course. Why would you throw a fade on 4th and 3? Alright, well, I'm going to switch over to the Louisiana game. Unbelievable. All right. This should say minus 0.2. There. Georgia State, what are you doing? Gave up a big punt return. I don't know what game to put on. So apparently, I'll put on this game because I have more at stake here, and it's 2 minutes left as opposed to 4.5 for the Navy game. All right, 2nd and 7 for ULL. They're at midfield. They're letting the clock run, so it looks like they're setting up for a field goal here based on how they're taking their time. But you never know. Stretch to the right and gain a 4, so it's going to be 3rd and 3. Timeout, Georgia State. They have all 3 timeouts, so that's their first. I'm going to bold the finish games as well. I'm going to switch back to the Tulane game. Why would you go for it on 4th and 3 and throw a fade? I still can't believe Tulane blew this. They're on their way to a rout. Maybe the rain changed things up. All right, 2nd and 11 for Navy. Triple option give. Fullback went nowhere. They're in field goal range, though. Alright, Navy just called a timeout, so I'm going to switch back over. So it looks like Oklahoma State won 13-7. I don't think anyone expected a low-scoring affair. That's why I don't do totals for college football. I mean, the thing with totals is the stats I use for this model, my college football model, are not really conductive for totals. Because I don't measure things like, well, I do measure pace and everything, but for totals, you know, it's the way I had this model configured. I had it configured for spread bets and money lines, not totals. Let's just put it that way. I would have to do other calculations and different coefficients and intercepts and everything for totals. All right, 3rd and 3 for Louisiana. They're in the pistol formation. Hand off. He is stuffed. He got stuffed. So what do you do here for Louisiana? It's going to be about 4th and 4. I don't think they're in field goal range. They're going to probably go for it. That's a 50-plus yard field goal here. Yeah, he even made that tackle despite being held. That should have been a holding penalty. And a hands to the face penalty. Alright, yeah, they're going for it. But they called it, Georgia State called a timeout, so it'll be a while. Man, Navy converted that 3rd down. They're going to win outright. That sucks. That's what Tulane gets for calling a fade on 4th and 3. Man, the thing about Tulane is they're expected to have a pretty good year this year, and you're getting beat at home by a team that just lost 55-3. That does not speak very high volumes for the American Conference. All right, 4th and 4. This is the game right here, in my opinion. Pistol formation, 2 to the right, 1 to the left. Quarterback rolls out to the right. He has nobody open. He's just scrambling. He is going to be sacked. All right, sacked. Not only was he sacked, but he was sacked at like the 45-yard line. So Georgia State just needs to go about 25 yards to get a decent field goal. Not just field goal range, but get like a easy field goal. He took like a 15-yard loss on that play. I was telling everybody last week, I was like, yeah, Louisiana beat Iowa State, but teams that do that often fall flat in their game afterwards. Like a power conference team that has a big win and then plays a road game the next week almost always falls flat. I mean, that's just probably confirmation bias right here, but I just remember seeing the line and I said, that's too much respect. Louisiana's getting too much respect with a minus 14 line. But still, Georgia State needs to, not blow this opportunity. All right, so Navy's setting up for a field goal. I've already written that one. I think Tulane lost that game. They're going to need a miracle. All right, so Georgia State's going to have a 3rd and 3 from the 39, so they got to convert this. Navy made the field goal and won the game. Not good, Tulane. You just blew a 24-0 halftime lead at home. Good job. All right, 4th and 3 for Georgia State. They're going for it. I don't feel good here. Delay a game on 4th and 3. Good job, Georgia State. And they had a timeout, too. Did they call timeout? Oh, man, they didn't even call time. Great job, Georgia State coach. Way to pay attention. And of course, he's trying to blame somebody else. Great job, Georgia State. Taking a delay a game on 4th and 3. Biggest second half comeback in Navy school history. And of course, it's a game that I bet on. That's how it works. So I think Louisiana's just going to go to OT here. They're not going to try to drive 90 yards with 40 seconds left. Stephen F. Austin. So one of my good friends, his son plays for Stephen F. Austin. He's a lineman. All right. Yeah, Louisiana's not going to go for OT. They're playing for OT. All right, I'll see you in OT. I'm going to take a quick break, real quick. Alright, I'm back. My camera's still charging, so I'm going to have to deal with this webcam for a little bit longer. Ugh. Not a good day for me in terms of early leads based on Georgia State and Tulane, but Georgia State, you know, it's overtime. They're at home. Anything can happen. The Liberty game gave me a little bit of a buffer, but it would be nice to get the Georgia State game to go along with that as well. So we have 2:30 coming up. So our 2:30 games are South Florida and Notre Dame's already started, but it's 28-0 early in the second quarter, so it's not competitive. UCF, Georgia Tech, Appalachian State, and Marshall. Troy and Middle Tennessee. Those are our games at kicking off here. I'm not going to count Clemson and Citadel and Stephen F. Austin UTSA. I don't bet on those games. FCS games. South Florida. They're not good. When I saw, I think it was Notre Dame minus 25 was the line there. Let me check. 25 and a half. Yeah, I remember seeing that line and I said, I think it should be closer to 28. That was my initial gut reaction to that line because South Florida's not good. I know they got a new coach and everything, but they're not good. And the funny thing about Tulane is they just extended their coach's contract by 7 years this week, and that's what happens. His first game out of that contract extension, he blows a 24-0 home lead. All right, so Georgia State starting the overtime with the ball. And they first play, they got a pretty good run. And for a first down, so good start. I just don't trust their defense to stop Louisiana. I don't. I don't feel good about this. I could easily hedge right now, but I'm not. I'm going to let it ride. The live line right now. Let me see if I can find it. I'm not going to hedge. I just want to see what it is. Like, what profit could I guarantee myself if I took ULL live right now? It's not up because the game's in progress. You'd have to wait for a commercial break for them to update the live line, but I'm guessing it's probably like minus 150 maybe. So I could probably give myself, but like, I didn't bet enough for hedging to be worth it. If I had a full unit on the game, then yeah, I would consider it. All right, 3rd and 5, Georgia State. Oh, guy's wide open. Oh, that quarterback missed. So they're going to have to kick a field goal here. By the way, Georgia Tech scored a touchdown already. So that's not good for my 7.5. Man, that guy was wide open. He missed him. He didn't even throw it to him. He threw it to a guy that was covered. Yep. I don't trust the Georgia State defense to stop ULL here. I wouldn't be surprised if ULL scores a TD on the first play of overtime. Calling it right now. Handoff. 6-yard gain. Second and 4. I could really use a turnover right here. him stopped in the backfield. Instead, he gets the first down. I need a turnover. Touchdown. Yeah, this game's over. Man. Oh, wait. They blew the play dead. Never mind. Called a timeout right before the snap, but that play was wide. That if they didn't call it timeout, that was an easy touchdown. Favorite pick later games. How long do I... My favorite pick for the later game is going to be... Whoops. I think it was North Texas right here. Yeah, North Texas plus 14. And I also have on the money line as well. Because I just don't think SMU is that good. They're getting too much respect, and my model agrees. How long will it be before I come back to Las Vegas? Well, I will not go back to Las Vegas until all this coronavirus stuff is over with. It just kills the vibe. I was there back in July, and it's just all the social distancing and masks and all that. I don't want to deal with all that. So I won't come back until that is all over and done with. Which is a shame. You know, I was actually thinking about flying there, or driving there next week for the first SEC games, but I just don't want to deal with everything that comes with all the coronavirus precautions. So I'm not. Yeah, Georgia Tech did come out strong. We'll see how that plays out. I'm interested to see UCF in action, but I'm not going to change the game over until this one's over, which it just ended. So Georgia State and Tulane, you guys blew it today for me. I was looking really good there for a little bit. All right, so I'm going to switch over to UCF and Georgia Tech. I want to see UCF in action offensively. I don't even know how Georgia Tech scored. Like, it was quick, I know that, but was it because of a kick return? Let me look at the play-by-play. So yeah, Georgia Tech had a big kick return. That's why. Because just watching their offense last week, it was Georgia Tech's offense. It was hard to watch. All right, so they did go for it. So is Gabriel their quarterback still? Yep. Yeah, see, that's Baylor right there. By the way, they just completed a long pass. That's how Baylor would do it. They would hustle to the line and just run four verticals almost every play and just force you to defend the vertical every play. They'd wear you out and try to throw it over your head, and then they would try to suck you back in with their run game once you started to play back. and it works 90% of the time. It reminds me of those college basketball offenses that simply exist to just run up and down the floor, kind of like how Loyola Marymount used to do it, kind of like how Billy Tubbs used to do it, but the college basketball teams whose goal was to just create as many possessions as possible in the game, play no defense, and just run you out of the gym. Billy Tubbs used to do that when he was the head coach at TCU. So TCU would beat a lot of teams in non-conference like 150 to 80 or something like that. But they were bad teams because they just didn't have the athleticism to be able to run up and down the court like that. But then whenever we would play a team that had the athleticism and ability to match up, it would not work. And that's kind of like UCF. Their style works very well against teams who just can't match up athletically. But you have teams that can match up, especially teams that have good defensive lines and can take away the run game and neutralize that and then turn them into a one-dimensional passing team. It does not work as well. And then you have to play defense. But that's kind of how Baylor did it and how UCF does it, is that their offense is their defense. Because the whole point of their offense is to be so lethal and good that it puts all the pressure on the other team's offense to keep up. And it kind of rattles them. And so you're allowed to take touchdown UCF, by the way. And you're allowed to take a lot more risks defensively when you know the other team's offense is rattled and pressured to keep up. And so what Baylor would do when Phil Bennett was their defensive coordinator under Art Briles is they would, their offense would be so good, put pressure on all the other team's offense, that they would run a lot of man coverage blitz packages. So they would sell out for the run and play man coverage on the outside, and not just any man coverage, but like it would be pretty much pass interference every play man coverage and force the refs to call it every play. And if the refs weren't willing to call pass interference every play, it was very difficult to move the ball because they're selling out to the run and they're pretty much all but holding the receivers in the pass game. So the only way you could beat it is if the receivers got a clean break off the line and was able to get over the top of the defense, which is a lot harder to do when you're under a lot of pressure to keep up with the other team's offense. But it's a lot easier to do when you're ahead and you have the confidence back. This remote sucks. Appalachian State and Marshall. I have that on the TV, and I have UCF and Georgia Tech on this computer. Oh, you're going to tell me there's no signal for CBS either? What good is that antenna then? So what channels do I get? Okay, so I get NBC. Unbelievable. Oh well. Like I said, I'm only here a couple months. I guess that's what you get for living out in the boonies. But even in my apartment, I had an antenna that couldn't pick up channels, and I was downtown. I remember it couldn't pick up NBC and ABC. Yeah, I'll probably do this stream till about 5 or so. I wasn't planning on doing this. I was just planning on testing it out, but I saw that a lot of, people that more than I saw people were joining the stream and I didn't want to just cut it off, so I decided to keep it going. So, thanks for sticking around. All right, Marshall scored a touchdown. That's good news. I have them, so I need to format this. So we got Marshall up. Detroit, Middle Tennessee's down 7-0. I said on the stream when I was doing picks I hated the Middle Tennessee play, but I just didn't want to go against the model. We got UCF is in action. So we got 3 games in action right now. We got Marshall, Middle Tennessee, and UCF. See, I'll probably do this stream until about 5 o'clock Central Time, just because I have other things I needed to do today. So that was kind of the advantage of Georgia Tech scoring first. Oh, crap. Georgia Tech almost had a disaster kick return. But that was the benefit of them scoring first, is that they don't have the pressure on them to keep up with that UCF offense. So they can... The reason the pressure matters is because it gets you out of your game plan and makes you uncomfortable, and you're taking a lot more risks, and you try to force things a lot more. And it kind of rattles you. So there's 2 ways to prevent that. You either get up early and keep the lead, or you just stop the other team. But UCF, we know their offense is going to be good. Really what their success or failure is going to be dictated by their defense. I keep looking at this camera even though it's off. This is the camera that's on. Let me see if this is charged up enough yet. Yeah, it is. So I can switch cameras. Awesome. I'm not broke by any means. I just don't trust this model or this college football season yet enough to be betting a significant amount of money yet until this model can prove that it will give me some sort of hope. I guess that's the best way to explain it, With all the players sitting out and games being postponed and everything, there's a lot of moving parts this year. So I don't want to go guns a-blazing on this model yet until those worries can be put to the side. Wide open guy for Georgia Tech. But, yeah, I mean, I'm still betting $40 a game, even though my unit size are 0.2. I mean, this Tulane bet, I lost about nearly $100 on it. My normal unit size is about $225, which, it's still not a... I've made videos about this and everything, but that's still, it's still a lot of money. My bankroll's about 20 grand, and I don't want to bet anything more than 1% of my bankroll on a game. But people will like comment on my videos being like, "Haha, you don't bet $1,000 a game. You're not a real bettor," and stupid stuff like that. I'm like, I know plenty of people who bet thousands of dollars of games and suck, and they're just constantly bleeding money. Just because they're betting $1,000 a game doesn't mean they know what they're doing. Likewise, I know people who bet, $20 a game who aren't terrible. For me, betting on sports is more about recreation and not so much about winning money. Like, even if I had a model that won me money hand over fist and everything, I would never trust it enough because you never know when it can stop making you money. That's going to be a touchdown for Georgia Tech. But if you watched my college basketball progress last year, you would have saw like in late December and January, I was totally just kicking ass, right? And then all of a sudden, I started to lose, and I started to lose, and I started to lose. What if I had gone all in on that college basketball model? I would have lost all my money. But instead, I just said, okay, at any point, this model could start losing me money instead of making me money, and that's exactly what happened. So my patience and my unwillingness to invest more money into it paid off. That's the most dangerous thing about building a model is that you build a model and you run it and you have a good day with it, right? And you're like, okay, this model just had a good day. Obviously, it's good. Obviously, I have it all figured out, and you just go all in. I've been guilty of that before. I was like, oh, I just had a good day with the model. That means it's good. That's not how it works. Georgia Tech just fumbled the ball on the goal line. See, that's why you never give up on a play and don't let the guy just score. That's why even if you tackle him on the 1 yard line, because Georgia Tech looked like they were going to score a touchdown there, and UCF didn't give up on the play and they tackled him right before the goal line. And what do they know? They fumbled the ball. Yeah, Middle Tennessee's bad. I hated this play. I really did. 10K a game? That's crazy. That, I would need a bankroll of $1 million to bet 10K on a single game. That's I couldn't even imagine. Betting 10K for me would be half my bankroll. And and my bankroll is something I've built up. It's not something that I have actively contributed to. I have built it up over the past 3 years to 20K. I started with an initial $900 deposit back in 2017. And then I put in another $4,000 in 2018. So really, I've only put in 5,000 of my own money, and I've quadrupled it. I've never done a withdrawal before, and I'm trying to do my first ever withdrawal with a 5 dimes. I need to call them still. Yeah, 10K on a game. That's crazy. Even if I had a bankroll of $1 million, I don't know if I would trust uh, a model enough to bet that much money on a game. The most I've ever bet on a game is 500, and you guys saw that. I put a video about that last year. And if I had lost that bet, I just would have chalked it up to, an investment, I guess, for the video. But I won the bet. Yeah, that $500 bet was weird. So I drove to Las Vegas to do it, and I had a list of 3 games that I was deciding from. And I was leaning towards SMU minus 21 against East Carolina most of the drive up to Las Vegas. But then the line moved to SMU minus 21.5. And I was like, okay, now I'm going to bet on Florida Atlantic. And it's a good thing that line move happened, because it was going to be SMU minus 21. And they only won by 7, I think. So thank you for that line move. All right, so UCF has the ball back. Like I said, their offense is pretty much Baylor's from Art Briles. It's 4 verticals every play, then run the ball. So the pass, just running verticals, not necessarily completing the verticals, but just running them sets up the run. Ooh, I don't think they got that first down. Or he did. Troy is up 14-0, further making this bet look like a bad idea. See, that's where a defensive line comes into play against an offense like UCS, because it disrupts the timing. You cannot beat an offense like UCF's without a good defensive line, because you have to disrupt the timing. Without a good defensive line, you can't do it. So I want to see what they do here on 2nd and 22. Georgia Tech is rushing 3. And see, Georgia Tech's defensive line is pretty... I got to admit, they were good last week against Florida State. That might be the strength of this team. And UCF's in trouble if the defensive line keeps playing like this. So 3rd and 20. And they only rushed 4, and they still got to the running back in the backfield. So it looks like they have... So they're lining up for 3rd and 20. They have 3 down linemen, 2 linebackers. So they're running a 3-2-6 here, a dime coverage. Let's see how many they rush. So they're rushing 4, and they just handed it off. I mean, UCF's in a lot of trouble here if they can't get a better push. Georgia Tech is only rushing 3 or 4, and they are disrupting the UCF offensive line. And I think that's where, I already talked about this earlier, but just from my days at TCU, whenever we would play a P5 team, that's where we would struggle. We would struggle. Our offensive line would usually struggle against the other team's defensive line. We were able to bully the Mountain West offensive lines and everything, but when it came to playing a team like a Clemson, like a Wisconsin, Stanford, Oklahoma, at best it was usually a stalemate. Like, in the Rose Bowl, we did not really run the ball well against Wisconsin. We did not run the ball well against Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl. It was the passing game that was able to allow us to move the ball in those games. And I still can't believe Tulane and Georgia State blew those leads. I was looking good there for a while. Appalachian State just scored a touchdown. So that's a tie game. How about this? I'm going to put like the active games right here. So UCF, Georgia Tech. Maybe like I can create a script in the future that will update this automatically. That's something I can maybe program in for next week. Is like pulling these scores automatically. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth the effort, to be honest with you, but we'll see. I mean, I've definitely increased my bet sizes over time. I mean, when I made that initial $900 deposit, I was betting like $15 a game. I mean, I've taken my unit size from 15 to $200. Yeah, I hate these games. I think the one thing that I hate the most, I hate this whole concept of virtual fans, right? I just think it's stupid. Virtual fans. Get out of here. Like College Game Day does. I haven't watched it yet, to be honest with you, because what's the point of watching College Game Day without a crowd? But apparently they have like virtual fans and virtual signs. All these, uh, you know, sporting leagues trying to make things happen with virtual fans. Just stop. Just stop. As if virtual fans can replace actual fans. It can't. The ones who are get it the closest is WWE with their Thunderdome, but I still think it's stupid because you just have a bunch of people sit in front of a webcam, all slack jawed. Georgia Tech's moving the ball. I'm telling you, team UCF, we know their offense is going to be pretty good. How's their defense going to play? And Georgia Tech's offense did not look that great last week, even though they won. So Chris Thompson is taking over as temporary Florida State head coach. So he was a TCU's offensive line coach up until last year, I think. And I actually ran into him at a barbecue restaurant. He he's a nice guy. I didn't play. He wasn't a coach when I was there, but he's a nice guy. But I don't know. Georgia Tech's really, yeah, they're winning the trenches on both sides of the ball. Their offensive line is dominating UCF's defensive line, and vice versa. UCF might have the better skill players, but games are won in the trenches. I always say that, and I maintain that. Now UCF's faking an injury because they can't keep up. I hate that. I believe if you go down with an injury, you should not be allowed to play in the next possession. You should have to sit out the possession you got hurt on and the next possession. Even if I think that's only fair. Kind of like the penalty box in hockey, only an injury box. But then that would probably be abused. I could see a coach subbing in like a third stringer or like a walk on or something to fall down and pretend he's hurt. I could easily see that happening. But then again, you can only sub out on defense if the offense subs out. So it would probably be a lot harder to pull off in theory. So I went to the gym this morning and worked out. I am finally going to start a bulking program on Thursday. And I've done bulking programs in the past, but I always stop them prematurely because I'm afraid I'm getting fat. Um, I have no problem with cutting programs, but whenever I do bulking programs, I always stop like one third of the way through or halfway through because I feel like I've gotten too fat. So I'm gonna try to do it this time. I'm gonna see it all the way through and hopefully eat right the whole time and do it the right way. But it's time. I've been around the same weight for the past 4 years or so, and it's time to actually be serious about a bulking program and diet plan. And just accept the fact that yeah, I'm probably gonna gain a little bit of weight, but hopefully most of it is muscle, and I can just cut off the fat later. It's not like I'm gonna be going to the beach or anything. But I'm gonna go. So for cardio lately, I was running a lot, but it was starting to really wear on my joints, and so I've moved over to swimming now for cardio, and also golf. I was tired after golfing yesterday, so I play at a little par three. Uh, I have a membership there. It's $50 a month for unlimited golfing. So I played 18 holes yesterday, and it was a pretty good workout. Because it's too small of a course to have carts or anything, so you have to carry your clubs and walk, and it can get tiring. But between that and swimming, that's how I do my cardio. I'm not going to be running anymore because it was just starting to hurt my knees, especially when I was squatting and stuff. Do I plan on doing a live stream for NFL? Maybe. I'm not. The thing is, I'm not an NFL fan. By that I mean I've never really been an NFL guy because my dad was an Oilers fan, and they moved away, and he just stopped caring and didn't really take up another team. So I feel like a lot of fandom, especially for pro sports, is based on what team you pulled for when you were a kid, and I didn't have one. So I never really grew up with an NFL team. So it made it kind of hard to care as a kid and get invested, and that's kind of carried over today. My dad used to take me to TCU football games all the time, but I've never been to an NFL game before. Uh, my dad worked for the Texas Rangers when I was growing up, so I went to dozens of Rangers games every year. I'd go to Stars games because he did the Stars for a while as well, so I'd go to Stars games. Even went to some Mavericks games, but never went to any NFL games. So if I were to do an NFL live stream, I'd be kind of in uncharted territory. I'm trying to think of the last time I actually sat down to watch an NFL game. Actually made it a point to watching it. I'll have it on in the background sometimes, but I'm not actively watching it. It's mainly for background noise. I honestly could not tell you the last time I haven't watched the Super Bowl in gosh, the last Super Bowl I watched was 2003. Did I do a video last year about how I do a Super Bowl boycott every year? I don't remember if I did or not. I wouldn't call it a boycott. It's just I just haven't watched it. Because I know when I watched it when I was a kid, the Super Bowl, my biggest complaint is there's always too much fluff, too many commercials, too much. It would say the game would start at for example, 5 o'clock, but it actually really starts at 6. So a whole hour of pregame garbage. I just wasn't all about that, so I just didn't watch anymore. All right, second quarter is starting in this game. Marshall's moving the ball. That touchdown Troy score got taken off the board for whatever reason. So they're only up 7-0 now. So that's good. Oh, we got Georgia Tech's quarterback. He needs to work on his accuracy throwing the ball because he had a guy open in the end zone there. Even though I have a bet on UCF, as a college football fan, I'm probably pulling for Georgia Tech just because I don't want the whole UCF in the playoff garbage debates that were really annoying in 2017 and 2018. I hated that. All right, Georgia Tech's lining up for a field goal here. Chip shot field goal. Oh, and it got blocked. Blocked a 27-yarder. I mean, that's good for my bet, but... So Georgia Tech has missed a 27-yard field goal and fumbled the ball on the goal line. So pretty much all the breaks UCF is getting, which is good for my bet. Man. Let me look at the analytics. So I've had as high as 20 live views. That's, as more as I was expecting. This is just a test run, so thanks for tuning in, those of you who have, to watch this test run of a live stream discussion. Ideally, how I'll do this going forward is probably pick like a series of games. So let me look at the schedule next week. I'll probably only do it like for one set of games, maybe two. I also didn't advertise it either, so. So next week is when things really get going. Basically, this live stream was a test for the real start, which is next week. It is not loading. Okay, so next Saturday we have Florida and Ole Miss, Kentucky and Auburn, Louisville and Pitt. Those are the morning games. The afternoon games are Mississippi State, LSU, Texas and Texas Tech, West Virginia and Oklahoma State. We also have Army and Cincinnati, Georgia and Arkansas. And then the night games, Alabama, Missouri, Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, Tennessee, South Carolina, Florida State and Miami, NC State, Virginia Tech. So if I were to do it next week, I'd probably do it for the morning games and maybe the afternoon games, but not the night games. Oh, Appalachian State just scored on a 76-yard touchdown run. 76 yards. Oh, Middle Tennessee tied it up, though. So maybe the Middle Tennessee bet was not a bad idea. Ooh, that was a really good read by the UCF quarterback. All right, now UCF's really starting to move the ball. because that's one way you can take the defensive line out of it, is just run the tempo even faster and make them tired. That's why first downs are so critical in the system UCF runs. The more first downs you get, the faster tempo you can run and the more you can wear out the other team. But they have a third down here, so that's the downside, is they're already at third down and hardly any time has passed. You know, I remember when I used to have to run scout team for teams like SMU, Baylor, UNLV. Those are really the three teams I remember running scout team for, that whose offense was consisting of a lot of verticals every play, and those are the most tiring weeks of the year on scout team. I remember we would always be so tired at the end of practice. I felt really bad for our scout team tight ends, Walker Dilly, Corey Fuller, because they would, especially when we were preparing for Oklahoma my sophomore year. Oklahoma had a really good tight end. Who was it? I forgot who it was. Anyway, they had a really good tight end that year, and we only had two scout team tight ends, and it was Walker Dilly and Corey Fuller, and they were basically having to run every single play. I felt so bad for him. Like, at least running scout team receiver, you know, we had people we could rotate with. But even then, like, we couldn't rotate because of the tempo. Because in practice, we had tried to run at the tempo the team we were preparing for was. So just running nonstop verticals up and down, that was not fun. All right, now Troy is marching up the field. But Troy just had a sack, or Middle Tennessee just sacked him, so stopped their momentum a little bit. Yeah, I'll probably go dark when these games hit halftime, perhaps. We'll see. Man, these Sonic commercials they need to go back to those guys, because these people talking about judgment-free zones, I'm not feeling those Sonic commercials. Man, Marshall's first play after getting the ball back, they throw a pick. Remember when all the hype was on Marshall a couple weeks ago because they beat Eastern Kentucky really bad? All right, UCF starting to move the ball a little bit better. See, I just don't know if creating a script to automate these scores is worth the effort when I can just type it in that quickly. If I had a lot of games going on at once, maybe. I don't know, one of the first videos I did on this channel was like I had a baseball thing that automatically updated the scores and everything, but I never tailored that into my new model. Ooh. Another thing that's a disadvantage for an offense like UCF's is that it makes it harder to move the ball the closer you get to the goal line, because the whole point of the offense is to really spread the field out, and it's harder to spread the field when you're squished, you know. So goal line situations can be tricky, but they almost scored there. So they're going to have a 3rd and 1 from the 4. Were they offsides? False start on UCF. All right, so 3rd and 6 for UCF from the 8. And they're going to throw a fade, which is caught. Touchdown UCF, which is good for my bet. That was a very well executed play there. Extra point is good. Awesome. Looking a little bit better. When are we getting a 3rd one? Well, when am I getting the 3rd travel video? That's a good question. I'll probably start editing it tomorrow. I have all the files and everything, you know. You just got to edit. So it basically takes me... Here's the process I use to edit those. So I do a rough cut, and then after the rough cut, I cut it down a little bit more, and then I add the transitions, and then I add the audio, like music and stuff, and then I export the video and upload it. So I do it in segments because I couldn't do all that in one go. Especially like a road trip video, when I have a lot of footage of me just driving and taking videos of the scenery and everything. It's kind of hard to like determine, okay, which scenery videos am I going to use, especially driving through a place like Colorado, which is going to be my next video, and all the mountains and stuff. A lot of great scenic videos, but which ones are going to make the cut? But I would imagine if I start editing it tomorrow, you'd probably see it Tuesday or Wednesday. I wish I had a better computer to edit them, though. This desktop is great, but I've had it for 3 years now. And I didn't buy this computer for the purpose of video editing. So once I get more situated with a more long-term living situation and all that, I'll probably buy a new desktop computer. You know, dual screens and a better processor and video card and all that for video editing. It would probably be easier to edit the videos if I did it in 30 frames per second, but I did 60. Oh, Appalachian State got another touchdown called back. Crazy. That's the second one. But then Troy just scored, which is not good. But yeah, for my vacation, I have about 600 gigabytes worth of videos that I took. And that's another limitation of this computer, is that it only has a 128 gigabyte solid state drive, and then it has a 2 terabyte spinning drive, which is fine, but I don't have enough space to load the videos onto the solid state drive. So I have to load them onto the spinning drive, which is a lot slower, so it makes it harder to edit smoothly. It's actually easier to edit videos on my laptop because it has a larger solid state drive that I can put the videos on. And but the downside is it's just harder to. I like the mouse and keyboard setup on the desktop better, and also has a bigger screen. And I don't have to hunch over like on my laptop. Where am I at now? Parts unknown. I'm not going to exactly disclose where I'm at. Don't want to go into too much detail as to why, but I will say that I am pretty far outside the San Diego city center. I'm in the boonies, kind of in a rural area, you know. I don't see any need to live close to my work in San Diego uh, when I don't need to. If I'm work from home, what's the point of paying the premium to live in the city center of San Diego when I don't need to? Or I could drive out to the boonies, get a lot cheaper place to live and rent with a short-term lease as well. Pretty much a no-brainer for me. I just don't want to say exactly where I am at in California, though, because let's just say there's a reason I don't want to say exactly where I'm at. Not because I'm afraid people are going to track me down or anything. But let's just say the company I work for said if you're work from home, you still have to live close enough to your home station. And so they didn't exactly say what close enough entails. I'm still in San Diego County. Let's put it that way. I'm still in San Diego County. But I am pretty much as far away from the station as possible while still being in San Diego County. Let's put it that way. But that's what they said. You just have to stay in your home market. I'm technically still in the San Diego media market. That's the thing. I think it's stupid. Like, just going into detail about that. Who is this? Who is to say that you have to live in a certain area? Say, for example, I lived in Phoenix and I flew in to San Diego every day for work, to work in person, right? Who is to say I couldn't do that? It would be stupid. It would be a waste of money. But as long as I got to work on time and did my job, who cares where I live? That's why I think the whole you have to still live in your home market is stupid. Like, we have people that work at the TV station I work at who live in Mexico and drive across the border to come to work every day before we work from home. They would live in Tijuana and drive over. And I'm like, they're not even living in the United States. And it can take an hour to get across the border sometimes, you know? You could live up in Orange County and get to work quicker than someone living in Tijuana. Would they have a problem with people living in Orange County and taking the Amtrak down every day? So, you know, just things. That's why I think HR should be a little bit more detailed in terms of what exactly you still have to live in your home market entails. Like, is there a radius? Man, Georgia Tech still has that punter who looks like he's more like a defensive tackle. All right, let's see if UCF can break it open here on this next possession. I like how ESPN just cut in and showed us highlights of the Clemson game as if that game was ever going to be in doubt. I hate that. They're like, oh my god, look at what Clemson just did against Citadel. Oh my god, look at how great this is. I'm like, was there anybody expecting anything different? Like, was anyone expecting Clemson to not get out to an early lead against Citadel? So why even bother with the cut-in? Yeah, when these games go to halftime, I'm probably going to wrap it up. Just because, like I said, I wasn't planning on doing this today. I was planning on just testing it out. But the thing is, I was planning on testing it out, but making it unlisted, just to see if it was working. But it went live before I could set it to unlisted, so people are starting to join in, and I didn't want to cut them off. So I decided, run with it. All right. All right, so Georgia Tech did a good job getting pressure there, but it's impossible to cover a receiver for that long. They did a good job getting pressure, but they didn't finish it, so UCS quarterback was able to kind of buy time and just throw it up for grabs. Okay, but then the next play, Georgia Tech defensive line does finish the job and sacks him. See, that's another thing that drives me crazy about the UCF offense. Like, I don't have a problem with it. I bet on them, so I'm okay now. But speaking as someone who used to have it done against us at TCU when we played Baylor, is how far downfield their linemen are on passing plays. They're a good. They're too far. It needs to be called an eligible lineman downfield because a lot of the defense you're reading the linemen, and based on how far downfield they go, you're reading them to know if it's a pass or not. And that last pass play they completed was the linemen were 5 yards downfield, and that's stupid. That needs to be called more. And now Georgia Tech is the one faking the injuries. I just feel like there's no good solution when it comes to the faking injuries ordeal. There's no way to properly address it that'll make everybody happy. Whoops. Oh, these commercials are killing the vibe. I had actually planned on doing these live streams for the NCAA tournament last year. Not the first two rounds because I was going to be in Las Vegas for that until it got canceled, but I was going to do it for the rounds after that. So that's why I had the live streaming equipment. I just haven't been able to bust it out until now. I had so much planned for March Madness last year. It all flushed down the toilet. Spam phone call. Right. Let's see if Middle Tennessee can get a punt block here. Troy's going to be punting from deep in their own territory. Oh, that was 5 dimes who just called me? Dang it, I should have answered. I thought it was a spam phone call. They're trying to call me for to do my verification. And they call me from Virginia. Has anyone else been trying to do a 5 dimes cash out? Guess I'll call this number and see if it works. Man, I should have answered. At least I know what the number is now.
Cảm ơn bạn đã gọi cho Vietbet. Hiện tại tất cả nhân viên của chúng tôi đang bận. Xin vui lòng đợi trong giây lát.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
I just got called from this number. I'm guessing it's for a phone verification.
Yeah, you should call back to the number 1-800
Uh-huh.
604 5922.
All right. 1-800-604-5922.
Yes, they will take care of you from there.
All right. Thank you. They have their customer service set up in China or something. Did you hear that Chinese at the beginning of the call? All right, touchdown UCF. So they're up by 2 touchdowns now. How do I feel about Yale Monroe +3? Is that line that far down now? Yeah, it is. I'm on UL Monroe +6 because I got in at +6. So at +3, let me look at the matchup for you. All right. Honestly, my model has them winning outright, so +3 should still be good at +3. I have them at +6, so I'm surprised the line has moved that far. All right, let me see if I can. It might be risky to do this verification. I've never called customer support one time for 5 dimes because I've always known I'm going to get someone like overseas. And I just never wanted to deal with. That's the whole reason I deposited Bitcoin. The whole reason I did a Bitcoin deposit so I wouldn't have to do stuff like this. But you know, it is what it is. I won't do it on the stream, just in case any personal information comes up. Yeah, I'm guessing, Texas State should not be a 6-point favorite on the road, period. That's just too much respect. I know Yale Monroe lost some guys from last year, but no. Like, I feel like Texas State is riding too much on that SMU game where they only lost by 7. But then they lose at home to UTSA last week. Yeah, this whole five dimes experience that's gone on the past that's happened has really turned me off from offshore sports books. I'm probably gonna have to like find a local or something. But there's a good chance I'm not gonna be betting anymore after this week. Everything I do here might have to be on air until I can find another place to bet with. Because I'm not doing another offshore deposit anymore. I don't trust it. I'm gonna have to find a local bookie, an in-person guy, which might be hard to find out here. Like I pretty much live on like a, I don't know how to explain it. It's a neighborhood where a lot of people have private planes, not like private jets, but private propeller planes and stuff. So there's a runway in the middle of the I guess it's not a neighborhood because every property is so spread out, but there's a private runway. It's pretty much a rural community of people who like to fly their own little personal propeller planes. But yeah, this is probably not the best place to live if you're trying to find a local bookie. I had one when I lived in Texas back in 2013 and 2014. And then I had one when I lived in Iowa in 2014 and 2015. And then when I moved to Seattle is when I opened up a Five Dimes account. I have never made a withdrawal from it before. I made an initial $900 deposit in September 2015, and I have not touched it since. And then I made another $4,000 deposit in 2018. See, now all the pressure is on Georgia Tech. This is what I was alluding to earlier. All the pressure is now on Georgia Tech's offense to keep up, because UCF's offense has started to figure things out, and now Georgia Tech is out of their comfort zone. They probably have to go off script. They're probably going to try to force things. It reminds me of in basketball when you have teams that are falling behind and then they start to jack up contested three-pointers, trying to get that lead all back in one shot. That's what Georgia Tech is probably the trap that they're going to fall into here. They're going to start to try forcing things and getting flustered, getting out of script. So they really need to keep their composure and just not let things snowball. If they can keep it at 21-7, they're in better shape. Not that I'm rooting for Georgia Tech here. Like I said, as a fan, I wouldn't mind them winning. But, I have a bet on UCF, just $40, but I guess it's a point of pride for this channel to have winners picked. See, that's what I'm talking about right there. They just tried to throw in a triple coverage. He wasn't even at the sticks, first of all, and yet he tried to force in a triple coverage pass. Bad decision making. See, UCF can really break it open here. See, that's pretty much the one thing you can't have against an offense like UCF. So you cannot have 3 and outs. Your defense is already tired. Now you got to send them back out there. They're exhausted. And what did I say? Being UCF's defense is predicated on 3 and outs. Sell out towards the run, play man coverage, force the other team to beat you over the top. Georgia Tech does not have the offensive personnel to do that. When everyone was making a big deal last year about UCF's win over Stanford, I said the same thing. I said Stanford doesn't have the right personnel offensively to beat UCF. They don't. And I said the next week, I said Pitt does. If you were following my channel last year, you would have saw I had Pitt on the money line when I played UCF, because Pitt does have the they didn't have the offensive personnel, but they did have the defense. And they had a lot better of a quarterback than Stanford had. Big completion for UCF. But the key to beating a team like UCF is not stopping their offense. It's scoring on their defense. Because the way UCF sets their defense up is to complement their offense. So if you can stop their defense, or if you can score on their defense, then their offense isn't going to be as lethal. Yeah, I think UCF's looking good. Troy just kicked a field goal. That one's looking bad. Not much going on in this Appalachian State Marshall game. Still 7-7. What bet did he lose? We all lost on... I mean, if you were with me on Tulane, you lost that one. Jeez, talk about a kick in the pants. I mean, Georgia State was a tough one, too, because they were up by 14 in the second half. Georgia Tech missed their opportunities early. If they would have gotten up by 14 or 21 like they could have, this would be a different game. I mean, obviously. I mean, that's a John Madden type of comment, but the way UCF would be running their offense would be different. But UCF just fumbled, so Georgia Tech has new life. That's a momentum swing, and a momentum swing can take the pressure off the offense, right? Remember how I was saying UCF's offense puts pressure on the other team's offense? Well, a momentum swing like that, getting a turnover, can help alleviate that pressure. So October 24th. Man, I need to drink more water. So October 24th is the first Big Ten games. That's what I meant. Football needs Big Ten. I miss the 11 a.m. Big Ten games, no matter what week it is. You know, it's what makes college football, in my opinion. Georgia Tech had an open guy, but the quarterback could... See, that's what I'm talking about. They had the right idea. Georgia Tech's trying to beat them over the top, but they don't have the players to do it. You have to have the right players to beat UCF's defense over the top. Remember in 2013 when Baylor was undefeated and destroying everybody, and then they played Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State had the players to beat them over the top. Yep. UCF sells out towards the run. Force the team to beat you over the top. That's a lot easier said than done. Man, South Florida's getting destroyed. I told you, Charlie Strong was not the problem at South Florida. They all thought that making a coaching change would have fixed things. I mean, I know it's Notre Dame in your first game with a new coach. It's probably not the best barometer, but their new coach is not the guy who's going to take them to new heights. Ooh, see, there you go. Georgia Tech, they have the right idea. Georgia Tech has the right idea on how to attack this UCF defense. They're trying. They might not have the players, but they're like, okay, we can either work to the strengths that our players do have and probably fail, or we can just try anyway, even if we don't have the players, and see what happens. They're definitely doing the latter. UCF interception. Ooh. They tried to do the same play twice in a row. That's what happens when you do the same play twice in a row. Yep, they read that play perfectly. He would have scored if he didn't trip. Yeah, Georgia State let us all down. When I first started the stream, Georgia State was winning, Tulane was winning, Liberty was winning, and Syracuse was only down by 4. And I was like, I'm in good shape. Thank God Liberty was able to hold on, otherwise, not in good shape. Alright, does Marshall go for it here on 4th and 3? It'd be a 49-yard field goal. I would go for it, but, you know, I'm not the coach. Man, UCF, what are you doing? Like I told you, Georgia Tech's defensive line is good enough. They are good enough to stop UCF. It's just that when the offense for Georgia Tech isn't doing anything, you can only be good enough for so long until your law of averages says you're going to start slipping, especially if you get tired. They got the turnover they needed on the last possession, but then they turned it over themselves. Alright, Marshall went for it and got it. That's good. Alright, Marshall needs to punch it in here. To make this easier to read, I'll put these in italics. Games that haven't started yet. Touchdown UCF. Crowd's starting to boo. I was saying last week, everyone was all high and mighty on Georgia Tech for beating Florida State. I was saying Georgia Tech is not a good team. Florida State's just worse. Georgia Tech's not, but all these Florida State fans are like, huh, Willie Taggart was a problem. Once we get rid of him and just bring in any other coach, we're going to be fine because we already have good players. No, you don't. Just because you're a good, highly recruited player does not mean you are a good player. A lot of these 5-star players, I've seen it myself in locker rooms before. A lot of these highly touted high school players come into college, think they're already good, don't have to work hard, and they get passed up by other guys who might not be as gifted and talented, but they work harder. Florida State has a ton of those guys who just aren't willing to put in the work. And so when Georgia Tech beat them last week, a lot of people are saying it's because Georgia Tech is good now. No, they're not. They are maybe slightly better than the 3-9 team they were a year ago. So UCF's going to beat Georgia Tech here and start crowing about how they deserve to be a playoff team and everything. Georgia Tech will prove over the course of the year. I don't know. The ACC's bad. They could still win 6 games anyway just because the ACC's that bad. But trust me, UCF is going to try to use this win over Georgia Tech as some kind of evidence that they are like worthy to be a playoff team, especially if they're able to run the table, which I don't know if they will or not. But trust me, it's coming. Get ready for it. I'm pretty sure this is UCF's only game against a P5 team. but Georgia Tech is not good. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not going to redline UCF yet because plenty of teams have blown 21-point leads in football. Are you kidding me? And Georgia Tech had it figured out earlier on offense, but turnovers and missed field goals. I wouldn't quite put that into the win column yet. Like, it's a red line. I call it a red line on purpose because when I red line my bracket in college basketball, it's with a Sharpie. You can't undo it. So there has to be no doubt. All right, Marshall. We got Marshall as it on 3rd and 9 from the 12. Ooh, that might have been a targeting foul on UCF. Yeah, that was a. How do I feel about targeting? I understand why the penalties exist, but I still think it's too. It's still too strict. Um, I can think of my times at TCU where we had players ejected. Had targeting rules been in place at the time. I still think it's too strict, and I think it's too favorable for the offense. Because a lot of times they're accidents, like if you're trying to tackle a guy and the ball carrier just happens to duck, and it's just an unfortunate helmet to helmet hit. I think those should be treated as just a regular personal foul, not an ejection. Let me look at this replay again, and I'll give you my. No, that's not a target. I do not believe that's. I think that was a clean hit. I think that was a clean hit. He didn't launch himself. He didn't hit with his helmet. He led with his shoulder. That was. I don't think that was targeting. And the thing that drives me nuts the most about targeting, Marshall field goal, by the way, I'll take it. But the thing that drives me the most crazy about targeting is when, for example, in 2015, TCU was playing a road game at Oklahoma, and our linebacker hit Baker Mayfield on it. It was clearly an accident because Baker Mayfield had a tendency to slide at the very last second, go into a slide, and our guy was already committed to tackling him high, and Baker Mayfield goes into a slide, and our guy hits him helmet to helmet, right? And gets ejected for targeting. It was an accident, but it was what it was. And the Oklahoma fans, it was at Oklahoma, they were acting like our guy had just murdered Baker Mayfield, right? Like he had done it on purpose. They were yelling at him, throwing things at him, cussing at him, all kinds of foul, acting like he was a bad guy, right? It was an accident. And on the flip side, when a home team player gets ejected for targeting and it was intentional, he gets a standing ovation as he leaves the field. So if it's an accidental target for an away team player, they get treated like, they just gave the middle finger to everybody in the stadium. But if it's a home team player who purposely targeted and gets ejected, he gets a hero's treatment as he leaves the field. That's what I hate about targeting penalties. Like that TCU linebacker got ejected. That game still gets talked poorly about to this day Because we almost ended up winning that game when Baker Mayfield went out. But Baker Mayfield, I don't say he got what he deserved, but that's what's going to happen when you go into a slide at the very last second after the defensive player is already committed to the tackle. All right, see, now Georgia Tech started to move the ball. They just can't turn the ball over. They can't miss field goals, and they'd be right in this game. They have the right offensive strategy. I'm going to keep saying that. That's not their problem. You lost 10K because of me. Man, which game did he lose? What does P mean? It means push. Tie. That game got canceled. Baylor's game got canceled, so it's just a push. Tie. You can do the win, loss, push. So, but you lost 10K because of me. What game did you bet on? I've always said, these are just play these games at your own risk. I never say they're gonna win. I had plenty of weeks last year where these did not win. I mean, if you followed me during bowl season last year, I think I was like 9-1 after the first 10 bowl games, and then I only won 2 after that and barely finished winning with the winning bowl season. So, I never guarantee these plays are going to win, I can tell you that. Let's see. Let me see if I can find any of my ones from last year. All right. So how'd I do last year on week 13? Oops. I lost 3.68 units in week 13 last year. So I can never guarantee that these plays are going to win. I remember this Akron game though, because I bet them at plus 5,000 and they only lost by 3. I remember that one. That was a Thursday night game. I think they were playing. I forgot who they were playing, but I just know they only lost by 3. It might have been Ohio University or Miami of Ohio, but that was a close one. Do I remember any of these other games? I don't. I'm trying to see if any of these come back to me. I remember the San Diego State game. They were at Hawaii. That was the Hawaii game, and they pushed. It was an overtime loss. Hawaii won on a field goal. I don't remember any of the other ones, though. Sorry. And I have a good memory. That's the thing. I have a good memory. It's all good. I think Georgia Tech might have something going here. That's the thing, though, about touts. Touts guarantee that they're going to win. They say these are winning picks. I just say these are picks. I never guarantee they're going to win or lose. It's just a result of my model. And it's up to you to do what you want with them. You can tell them if you want at your own risk. I never release these plays from my model for tailing purpose. That's not why I release them. I don't release them so you can tail them and win money with me. I release them so you can see how my model performs. It's hard for me to be transparent about how my model performs without actually releasing the plays that it gives out. Otherwise, I could easily say, "Oh, my model went 20-5 this week," and I have no way to back it up. That's why I release them, so you can kind of follow along with the model progress and performance. If you had, I'm pretty sure I released my baseball picks every week, every day when I was doing that a couple months ago, and had you tailed those, you would have lost a lot of money with me. I lost a good 10% of my total bankroll just on baseball. And those what it was like 4 weeks maybe. And I like my baseball model. I think it's sound. Uh, I just need to make a couple alterations in the off season. Man, Troy, I told you this Middle Tennessee State was not going to come through for me. I told you, but model is a model. Remember when I was eyeballing the games? So going back to the stage, I remember I said Georgia State was going to cover. I didn't bet that. I remember I said Liberty was going to cover. They went out right. I said UL Monroe's too big of a dog. They haven't played yet. I said Tulane. I said it depends, and Navy went out right. I said Middle Tennessee was going to lose, and my model picked it anyway. I said this game should have been Notre Dame minus 28. Didn't play them, and they're up by 45. I said Tulsa should have probably been 21-point dog, so I didn't play them, and they covered easily. So my eyeballs worked this week as far as my initial gut instincts. But never bet on your gut. Touchdown Georgia Tech. I told you this game's not over. Georgia Tech is doing the right things offensively. Man, Middle Tennessee's terrible. They just threw another interception. I don't take money for my picks. I don't run a model for FBS versus FCS games. So Citadel is an FCS team. I don't collect stats for FCS teams, which is why I don't do models for it. That's why. I wonder what the line was, though. If I had to guess, it probably would have been Clemson minus 63. Am I correct on that assumption? That's just a total guess on the top of my head of the Clemson line. Yeah. Yeah, I never have and never will charge money for my picks. Yeah, it's kind of hard to find lines for these FCS games. I'm trying to find one right now with the Clemson line. I would have had it at Clemson minus 63. It's about 50-50 on dogs and favorites. I have it like that on purpose. If your model tilts one way or the other, it's flawed and there's a problem with it. And if you followed along with my videos last year, week by week in college football, you would have seen me having a problem where I was picking too many dogs. And that's how I discovered I had an error, a glitch in the model. Because I was like, okay, there's a reason it's picking too many dogs here. Because it should be 50-50 in the long run. dogs and favorites, not just money lines but spreads as well. And so I was able to discover that error, and I made fixes that actually were beneficial. The model performed a lot better when I made those fixes than before. Obviously, because there's an error. The problem was because UMass was so bad historically, and one of the things I do with my model is I take the stats of the best team and the stats of the worst team in a particular stat, and I kind of use that as like a baseline kind of. But UMass was so historically bad that the baseline was skewed, and therefore it was treating all, since it's a regression-based model, is treating all the teams in the past that were the worst at a particular stat as a lot better than they were, and it was inflating the stats of underdogs. Do I defer my model in any situation? I talked about this earlier, but I'll bring it up again. I never make a play that my model says not to. I'll never do that. But I have vetoed plays that my model says to make. More often than not, it's backfired on me. And obviously the best example I can always give was a Week 7 game last year between Toledo and Bowling Green. Toledo is a 28-point dog at home. My model said to play them on the money line at plus 1750, I think is what it was. I vetoed it. They won. Learned a hard lesson with that one. I remember watching it. Really what happened, though, is that Toledo's starting quarterback got hurt in that game. But it was never close. Like, Bowling Green, not only did they win, they won going away. I honestly don't think it would have mattered if Toledo had their quarterback. But I just remember feeling sick to my stomach that whole day. Because I had actually gone home. It was my dad's birthday. I had actually gone home to Texas for that week for my dad's birthday. And I was following it along when we were at a steakhouse for his birthday. And I was sick to my stomach. I was like, man, how did I miss this? And I was rooting for Toledo to win so I wouldn't feel so sick. But like I said, it was a runaway for Bowling Green. It was never close. And that was my worst week of the year, the entire season, I think. That was my worst week. So not only did I have to deal with that Bowling Green loss, but I also had a bad week overall. Alright, so we got halftime here. Marshall's up. This is about to go to half. And Troy is on the goal line trying to punch it in. I hated that Middle Tennessee play the moment I saw it, and they scored. I'm trying to find out what this Clemson line was. If I had to guess it, if I was setting the odds for it just based on absolutely nothing but my eyeballs, it would have been 63. Okay, it was 50. That's too low. That's too low. It should have been at least 56. So just eyeballing alone, I would have definitely played Clemson at 49 to 50. All right, 50.5. All right, well, it's halftime in all these games. I want to, where I stand right now, if I were to call the games right now, this is going to be a win, this will be a win, and this will be a loss. So, you know, but just, as of right now, slightly up on the day as I end this live stream. You know, I plan on doing this next week. I'll actually advertise it next week and everything. This is totally unplanned. I was just testing it out, but like I said, once people started joining and I realized I didn't set the video to unlisted, I just decided to roll with it and see how it went. But apparently this Airbnb apartment has a good enough internet connection to do a live stream, so I should be good for next week. But I just wanted to make sure I was in good shape for next week's games. when the SEC starts playing and Big 12 conference play gets started. So excited for next week. Next week I'll do it for the 12 p.m. Eastern time games and then the 3:30 Eastern games. So probably 6 hours of streaming next week. So stay tuned for that. But thanks for joining and allowing me to test out this live stream idea. I appreciate it, everybody. And everybody go ahead and have a good rest of your day. Good luck on your bets.